I want to confess something. Over the years, I have become less of an eclectic homeschooler and more of almost a homeschool in the box mom. And I can't believe my homeschool has shifted so far this direction. I know a lot of people start off using a boxed curriculum. It's a great place to start for a new homeschooler to have everything there prepared with a schedule. It tells you what to do, when to do it, so that it really holds your hand through the whole process. When I started, I was completely wanting to do my own thing. I didn't want anyone telling me what to do, when to do it. So I made a lot of our own curriculum for preschool. I created lesson plans. I found ideas on Pinterest. I spent a lot of time planning and prepping and using a wide variety of resources. It was really, really, really eclectic. I was very anti-textbooks. I only wanted living books. I wanted to be a very classical educator, wanted to do all of those things. And lately I have found that nope, actually, I don't want to do that. Why? I'm not really sure. I think part of it is because I'm tired. I hit homeschool burnout more than once, and I found that homeschooling 7 kids and trying to maintain this classical living book curriculum was too much for me. I also found that my kids didn't like learning altogether. The whole sit around the table, we read one science book that is for grades 1 through 6, and there's some pieces of information in there that are great for the younger students, and then there's some chunks in there for the older students. Nope. My kids really, really dislike that. They don't like all trying to do the same thing and trying to get bits and pieces that are for their age level, where the younger kids are bothering and interrupting us and they're bored. They don't know what's going on. My older kids don't think it's challenging enough. Oh my goodness. We tried a lot of group school things and they just don't work out well for us. So what I have found is my kids like workbooks. Yep, they do. Colorful workbooks, they're like, sure, we will work through and do a page a day. We're great with that. Textbooks, if they've got pictures in them, they're like, great, we will read a textbook. Nope, it's not a living book, and they're not all that exciting, but my kids are like, it's concise, it's to the point, it answers our questions, and it gives us the information that we're interested in, and it's enough, and that's all that I want. Like, okay. If it's a subject that's not really their passion, they're like, sure, a textbook, I'll work through it. Give me a workbook. I'm fine. I don't want to read 500 books about this topic. I just will read the text and I'll complete the assignments. Thank you. The end. So I can't believe that I've become more of a boxed curriculum person. My daughter the other day told me, I like having science with my grade on it. It's my science. It's the science I do and it's my level and I understand it. I was like, oh, I never really thought of it that way, but okay. And so my kids, they don't like where I pick a science and I try to include everyone all together. Even if I try to do one science for the olders and one science for the youngers, they still don't even like that. They want their own science, their own math, their own history, and they want it to be something that is at their level. Whether it's actually their grade, doesn't matter. It's just something that is at their level, whatever level I think that they're at, which may be a grade ahead or behind, depending on my child. I try to place them where they are at, ability-wise. And that's what my kids like. And I couldn't believe that they told me this and that it was something that I had never really tried. I avoided it for so long. And I did do their math separately for the most part. And I did do a lot of their reading lessons separately. But as far as like history and science and Bible, we try to do all of that all together. And you know what? They want their own history, their own science, their own Bible at their level, something that really holds their interest, that challenges them, but it's not too much, but it's not too little. It's just right. So yeah, it's the Goldilocks thing. So I cannot believe this, but we use Abeka for Grammar. It's a workbook. And we use Bob Jones, the online distance learning, the online video course, whatever, for science and history. They love having their own textbook, their own workbook, and watching their videos. They love their teachers and they find them really interesting. And what I love is that their teacher is always cheerful. Their teacher has not just cleaned up the dog's vomit and changed the baby's diaper and tried to get the preschooler to go potty. Nope, that teacher is there with her makeup on, her hair done. She's dressed so nicely and she's smiling as she's talking about whatever the topic is for that day, where I'm feeling completely frazzled and I haven't had a chance to eat anything that day yet. So I'm not as patient as she is. My kids love it. They watch the videos, they find them really engaging, and then they read their textbook, they do their workbooks, and they are happy to have their own science and history. Then I use, for a lot of my kids, they use Classical Academic Press for Bible. Those are workbooks. They read through them, they do them. And then my older ones use ThinkWell for math, which is something they do online. And my younger ones do Right Start Math with me, which, yes, is mom intensive. They also do All About Reading with me, mom intensive as well. Those subjects need a lot more handholding in the younger levels, which I'm okay with. But for my older kids, they really like having their own school, their own assignments, their own textbooks, and they work at their own pace. They want to do it by themselves, and they want to do it on their terms. So don't be afraid to use textbooks, to use workbooks. Your kids may not hate it. They may not hate you for trying it. My kids are kind of upset that we didn't do this sooner. They are very motivated to do their work each day. Sometimes they're even done before I come upstairs after I work in the mornings. So they get up early and they do a lot of their work in the quiet before the toddler is up. And they're able to really direct their own learning and education and have more time for themselves. So, yeah, don't be afraid of the textbooks, of the workbooks. And I also gave up Latin. Yeah, it was too much work. I wasn't seeing all of the benefits. It was taking up way too much of my time to help them with it and also to learn it myself, even though I did take Latin. And so I do know some Latin. It was still a lot that I had to remember, relearn, and even more that I had to learn. I just didn't care. My kids weren't loving it. They were much more interested in Spanish. So we just completely shifted gears, and my kids do Spanish. So my older ones do Homeschool Spanish Academy. My younger ones do Kids Club Spanish, which is online classes, meaning I'm not teaching it. I can help. I can help them with their homework, but I'm not having to do it. So as you can see, the things that they're doing require a lot less of me, and that has been sanity saving for me. My kids love it, but I also love it because I'm freed up to do other things and also just to focus on being a mom, to focus on their sports and taking them to their activities and not having to worry about being the one to teach them every single subject every single day. I have a little bit more time back, and I've even read a few books. Yeah, that's really exciting to me. So don't be afraid if you need to change up your homeschool. I really had to shift away from a lot of the living books, a lot of the group kind of based curriculum, the curriculum that's for a broad age range. Just, it didn't work for us in our homeschool. And I tried for so many years to force us into that box, and it just doesn't work well. And even though my kids are close in age, they really are, they're only like 2 years apart, some of them even closer than that, they still do not want to do the same things. They're not on the same levels. They don't want to try to be forced to learn something together. They want to do their own thing. And that's okay. And that's what homeschool is. You have that flexibility and the freedom to work your homeschool the way that works for your kid. So if you need to put away the living books and try something else, it's okay. And my kids are excelling and they're loving it, and they have no complaints about school. No whining. This is a no whining homeschool year. It's been amazing. Of course, there are still some grumpy days, but in general, I've had fewer complaints this year now that we're doing a lot more independent things, and they all have their own work. They don't have to worry about someone not being on pace with them. They can work at their own pace. And yeah, it's really freeing for me as well. So I have become more of a hands-off homeschool mom as my kids work on their own and do a lot of online learning and a lot of textbooks and workbooks and things that don't require as much from me. So just wanted to share that experience of kind of our transition in our homeschool, how it's changed and how we've really adapted and done things based on grade level. I never thought I would do that, but we have, and it works really, really well. So don't be afraid to be that type of homeschooler. Don't be afraid to be a textbook, workbook homeschooler. It's okay. There are some of us that do that, and our kids love it and are doing great. So it's okay if you want to be that type of homeschooler and you want to be more of a boxed curriculum homeschooler. Over the years, I have found that that's what's easier for me right now, and it gives me more time for other things.